States Naval Reserve retired, which appeared in the magazine Proceedings, October 1981. 9 December 1969. Naval Ammunition Depot, Bangor, Washington. The Badger State, a cargo vessel under charter to the Military Sea Transportation Service, commences loading ammunition. Destination, Da Nang, Republic of Vietnam. A destination this vessel will never reach. In the beginning, the signs are good. During the loading period, the Coast Guard makes a midterm inspection of the condition and adequacy of life-saving equipment aboard the ship. An entry in the official record booklet of inspection verifies the equipment is adequate. A local marine engineering firm is contracted to repack the steering engine ram. The vessel's first assistant engineer provides assurance that this has been done. All signals point to a successful voyage. But deep below in the cargo holds, the fate of the Badger State with their 40-man crew hangs on questions concerning the stowage of 6,000 tons of bombs. Item: the master requests additional cargo to add weight and improve stability. Request denied. No additional cargo has been scheduled. Item: the chief mate requests additional blocking and bracing in the number 5 hold. Request denied. Not required in the loading plans at Bangor. Item: request extra shoring material to be left on board in case the cargo gets loose. Request denied. Some accommodation is reached. Some heavy cargo is shifted from lower holds to the 'tween decks to improve stability. A limited amount of extra shoring is placed on deck and secured. But day workers inspecting the stowage find large spaces in the cargo and request more blocking and bracing. They are told this will be done. Later, inspection at sea will show that no additional blocking and bracing was accomplished. Rain falls almost constantly during the loading period. No effort is made to keep the dunnage dry. In some squares, hatchboards are placed in position, and carpenters have to crawl under them to shore cargo. Later inspection shows that these areas have very little shoring and few nails. Wedges are saturated with moisture and not nailed. The first assistant engineer has just come off a voyage during which cargo had become loose. He refuses to sail on the Badger State. He is dissatisfied with loading practices at Bangor. He complains of a gross lack of supervision. He says stevedores are engaging in horseplay. The chief engineer persuades him to make the voyage. 14 December. The Badger State departs Bangor for anchorage in Thorndike Bay to secure for sea. This is not done at Bangor because the ship has to vacate its berth. 15 December. En route, Da Nang, the weather begins to deteriorate. By late on the 16th, swells run 12 to 16 feet. Rolls are experienced up to 20 degrees. In early evening of the 16th, unusual sounds are heard from number 3 lower 'tween deck. The investigation reveals that the cargo of 500-pound bombs has shifted. It is jammed on the port side of the ship, leaving an opening of about 1.5 feet on the starboard side. Whatever sweatboards or sheathing exists is completely broken or missing. One case of bombs is broken. One bomb is rubbing against a frame, causing the unusual noises. Attempts are made to reshore the cargo using scrap wood to make up shoring material. As the blocking and bracing begins in hold number 3, other holds are inspected. Cargo is adrift in nearly all holds and all levels. All hands are rousted out to assist in reshoring. As crew members move from hold to hold, other discoveries are made. Blocking around ladders is almost non-existent. There is practically no sheathing in most holds, except on athwartship bulkheads. Where sheathing has existed in the wings, it has broken or fallen down. In places, it is held by only one nail. Sweatboards have failed, and in many areas, cargo is right up against the hull of the vessel. Places which the crew had asked to be reinforced at Bangor were not reinforced. The ship's master believes that the additional blocking, bracing, and shoring is within the capability of the ship's force. Not wanting to abort the mission, he continues westward. From the 18th to the 25th, bad weather continues. Weather reports indicate a storm in the path of the Badger State. Later reports point to a second storm. The third is only days behind. Now events close in swiftly around the Badger State. Holes are discovered in wasted hull plating 5 feet below the center line of the shaft in the lower engineering spaces. Water is pouring in, and the plating is breathing or panting. A patch is made using concrete and split bricks. The patch appears to hold, although there is some seepage. On the 5th day into the voyage, another hydraulic leak develops in the same starboard steering ram that had been prepared prior to departure. Because not enough hydraulic fluid remains on board to complete the journey with the machinery in this condition, it is urgent to repair the leak as soon as possible. At this point, the ship is experiencing rolls of 25 to 30 degrees. During the repair, swells rise as high as 30 feet. Day 7. A nipple fails on the superheater to the port boiler. To disassemble, repair, and reassemble the machinery takes 12 hours. Seas rise higher, and the ship experiences even greater rolling than before. Day 9. Cargo is loose in the number 3 lower hold. As the vessel's construction provides no access to this area other than the hatch opening itself, the ship's master requests a port of refuge. He is directed to Pearl Harbor. This is the vessel's 6th ordered diversion from its original route in the attempt to cope with adverse weather and worsening shipboard conditions. Shoring of the cargo reaches the point of just placing wedges and adding support to existing shoring. 25 December, Christmas Day. The port of refuge is changed to Midway Island. The master is doubtful he can make it because the change in course would put the northwest swell on the beam. It is impossible for him to hold this course because of the bad seas. Rolls go from 30 to 40 degrees. The ship is in the midst of a storm. The only wind indicator on board is a pocket anemometer, purchased by the master just prior to sailing. From this point in the voyage, the wind velocity is beyond the 50-knot maximum capability of the instrument. Items begin breaking loose about the ship. In the crew saloon, the refrigerator, welded to the bulkhead, breaks loose. The heavy chart desk, also welded, slides across the chart room. The shoring effort at this time is centered primarily in number 5 tween-deck hold, where the 2,000-pound bombs are stowed. About midnight, Christmas night, number 5 is the most secure hold on the ship. 26 December. Wind is at force 12. Barometer reading a remarkable 955 millibars. The vessel takes 52-degree rolls to port and starboard. The port lifeboat breaks loose from the after davit and is damaged beyond use. In the early hours of the morning, a heavy banging noise is heard aft. An able seaman checking the hold reports that number 5 is a mess, and he could feel or hear cargo moving in number 4 hold. The crew is advised to put on life jackets and lay to number 5 hold. Word goes out that the bombs are loose and rolling around like marbles. The ship's master orders a distress message broadcast. The SOS activates an alarm on the Greek merchant ship Cayenne Star, which is 40 miles westward, and radios the Badger State that it will come to assist. In number 5 hold, at least 24 bombs are loose and rolling from wing to wing. The Badger State is dipping the rail. Green water is being taken aboard and washing down the decks. In the holds, loose and broken dunnage is everywhere. The hatchboards in the number 5 lower hold, where 750-pound bombs are stowed, begin to break and come apart from the pounding of bombs above. 2 bombs slide nose first into the lower hold through the space formerly occupied by hatchboards. Sparks fly as the bombs strike each other and slide across the now unprotected metal deck. Daylight is seen through 6-inch holes in the shell plating where the 2,000-pound bombs stick their noses through the sides from constant pounding. The entire crew gathers and throws everything available into the holds to contain the rolling and sliding bombs. Hawsers, mooring lines, chair cushions, chairs, life jackets, mattresses, clothes, clean and dirty linen, and frozen meats from the reefer stores. But the bombs continue to roll. A hatch cover is lowered on top of the material previously thrown in. The action seems to contain the bombs on the port side, but is ineffective forward and to starboard. When there's nothing left to throw in, and the bombs still continue to move forward and to starboard, all hands are ordered to clear the deck and stand by for rolls as the ship will attempt to come around and make another try for Midway, approximately 500 miles to the south. As the Cayenne Star appears on the horizon, the Badger State Master gives the crew a choice. Leave ship to board the rescue vessel when it arrives, or remain on board and make another try for Midway. All hands elect to remain. As the last 2 crew members step into the deck house and begin to dog the watertight door, a loud explosion is heard in the starboard corner of number 5 tween deck. The time is 0940, 26 December, 1969. The Badger State is 10 days from her appointment with destiny. The explosion of one of the 2,000-pound bombs has blown an 8 by 12-foot hole in the forward end, between deck number 5, starboard side. Both booms are blown from their cradles and over the starboard side, breaking the starboard boom in half, with 2 hatch covers still suspended and warping the port boom into an acute arc. The remaining hatch covers are lifted higher than the cross trees of the mast. Burning materials are scattered about the deck. Now, there is no longer a choice. The Badger State master sounds the general alarm and passes the order to abandon ship. When the port lifeboat was damaged, it left only the starboard 60-man lifeboat and 2 rubber boats on the flying bridge. All hands, already in life jackets, proceed in an orderly line to the starboard boat. No frapping lines are used or known to exist aboard. As the ship rolls, the lifeboat swings in and out. Each time the boat swings in, a couple of crew members jump aboard. The second mate slips. His leg is pinned and severely injured or broken. 35 crewmen make it into the lifeboat. Of the 2 rubber boats launched from the bridge by the captain and the injured second mate, one inflates as it hits the water and cartwheels over the surface before the wind. The other boat does not inflate, but drifts in its collapsed form. Later, when found by the Cayenne Star, the boat is inflated, but empty. In the starboard lifeboat, the scene changes from an orderly procession to one of wild abandon. 2 crew members attempt to shift the rudder, but never get it in place. A struggle is made to install the levers for the hand-propelled gear, but this is ineffective. The propeller is never engaged. The boat plug cannot be found. The lifeboat is lowered. As it reaches the water's edge, the surge of a wave carries it all the way back up to the boat deck. It hangs in the chocks for a moment and is lowered again. The Badger State, its boilers shut down after the abandoned ship alarm, drifts before the wind. Because the lifeboat's sea painter, a 3.5-inch manila line, either came loose from the vessel or parted during launching, there is now no way to get the lifeboat away from the side of the stricken vessel. The lifeboat stays alongside and begins drifting aft. A big surge brings the lifeboat hard up against the side of the ship. Panic spreads quickly among the crewmen. Some jump from the boat. The next surge brings it up into the jagged edges of steel blown out by the explosion. With the lifeboat still under the jagged hold, the Badger State rolls to starboard. A 2,000-pound bomb slides out nose first and falls quickly into the water, narrowly missing the boat. On the ship's next roll back to port, a second bomb drops into the lifeboat and capsizes it, throwing the 35 occupants into the water. Sea temperature is 56 degrees. Swells run 25 to 30 feet. Waves are 8 feet and wind about 65 knots. A few crewmen climb on top the capsized lifeboat. Another surge brings the boat up against the ship's side. This time, there are men in between. A flock of birds lands near the men crushed up against the Badger State and begins pecking at heads, faces, and arms. Some crew members make it to the side of the Cayenne Star and are picked up by the Greek vessel. An Air Force C-130 arrives on the scene and begins dropping rubber boats. One inflates, but takes off before the wind. The line from the second boat is caught by one of the men in the water. He pulls himself aboard, then helps 5 others into the rubber boat. He massages and slaps them to keep them awake. The Cayenne Star approaches the overturned lifeboat where crewmen are still hanging on. As the rescue ship comes alongside, men are pinned between the boat and the ship. Screams are heard. Only a few from this party are rescued. On board the Greek ship, the survivors are hustled inside. Some walk, some are carried unconscious. They're stripped, wrapped in blankets, given hot tea, coffee, or whiskey, and an alcohol rub-down. It is several hours before most come around and are able to stand. The Cayenne Star remains in the area of the Badger State for almost 2 days, looking for crewmen in the water. No more are found. 27 December, 1969. The Cayenne Star, with the survivors aboard, continues on her voyage to Yokohama. The SS Flying Dragon, the vessel assigned to escort the ill-fated ammunition ship to Midway, arrives late on the 27th and remains on the scene until relieved by a Navy salvage tug. 5 January, 1970. The Badger State and her $10 million cargo of ammunition settles by the stern and sinks slowly in calm water. In all, 14 persons are rescued, 1 body recovered, 25 crew members are missing and presumed dead.